Here we go. Little James Brown at 10:36. On this 30th day of March, Taralei Griffin. So, we aren't talking cannabis education today. We're talking about something a lot more serious. This is Endometriosis Awareness Month. Did I say that correct?
You did, yes. Yeah, endometriosis.
And now, Taralei, this is something that you go through each and every day of, your life. Take us through what endometriosis is and, some of the things that you experience.
Yeah, so endometriosis, it's... I've known about it my whole life. My maternal grandmother had it as well. But it's a disease where tissue that is similar to it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar to the tissue that lines the inside of the uterus. And it grows outside the uterus and on other organs. And so it reacts the same way. It grows and then it sheds. But then because it's not inside the uterus, it causes a lot of inflammation and the blood doesn't have anywhere to go. So it causes a lot of pain. It's near constant pain. It causes painful sex, it's just...
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And it can affect... It affects everyone differently, too, is kind of the big thing. It's very hard to diagnose. Like, I have dealt with pain since I was 11, but I wasn't diagnosed until 2021.
We were talking about this.
When I was 30.
And now let me set you're 30?
I just turned 32 on Monday, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no one ever... I have a baby face.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. Well, so I want to point out something. I ruin everything.
It's okay.
Sorry.
No, you don't. It's fine.
So studies are showing that this is almost as common, if not as common, as diabetes.
It is. That's the new statistic, that it's 1 in every 10 people.
I just can't really wrap my head around this. So
yeah,
this was misdiagnosed for a very long time.
It's not even that it was misdiagnosed.
Okay.
It's that so unfortunately that tissue, the endometrial tissue, they can also be called endometriomas, they don't usually show up on imaging even.
Okay.
So you have to have a surgery to diagnose it. Yeah. So for me, everyone's different. Everyone kind of goes through it differently. For me, I had pain my whole life. Like, I knew something was not right.
What does that pain feel like, if you don't mind me asking? Is it like
it's all
pressure?
kinds of different pains.
Okay.
So, for me, one of the most extreme things was, of course, around my menstrual cycles, cramps. And so a lot of times I would have doctors tell me, oh, you just have bad cramps. And I was like, but this is very different from what the other women around me, my mom, my sister, other people in my life, it's very different from what they're dealing with, I would also have sharp pains throughout my abdomen. And at this point, because it went on so long without any sort of diagnosis or treatment, I also have other issues. Last year, I was diagnosed with arthritis in my lumbar, pelvis, and lower back. Yeah, because it's just, so and I've also got something called interstitial cystitis. We don't need to go into that today, but, it's just a lot of other stuff that kind of plays off each other, all kind of in the abdominal pelvic region. Wow. And, and it mostly affects women. It can affect men too, but that's very rare. Wow. But yeah, so it's, it's so difficult because they can do all sorts. I went through so much imaging throughout my life and they never saw anything. But then finally so it can also be triggered by stress. So that's I had always kind of had it. I kind of knew I had it since I had a grandma who had it.
Right.
But doctors just kind of would tell me, oh, you're too young and healthy, which that's ridiculous. That's who it affects. Or it's just bad cramps, or, oh, you're just super anxious. It's all in your head. So for me, it just kept getting worse throughout my life. And then there was no treatment. And then, when I moved back in 2019 to care for my grandpa who had cancer, and that was, a very stressful situation that I think then triggered it to become very much worse. So he passed in 2020. And then then I kind of started coming out of my depression from that.
Right.
But then suddenly I had this constant sharp stabbing pain in my right side. And that's when the doctors, they at first thought it was my kidney.
Okay.
They started doing a lot of testing. And then it was like, and then finally they were like, okay, it's not your kidneys. You seem perfectly healthy. And so they were like, okay, let's look into if it's something hormonal or if it's, and I was like, I am positive I have endometriosis. But finally, go ahead.
Can I ask you something about this? Because the only thing I can think of, if like just put myself in your shoes here, is someone is going, oh, it's on your head, and you don't have anything. That affects your mental health.
Yep.
Because you go,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if I was in your situation, I'm not freaking crazy. I know I have.
Yep.
Does that happen?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's actually, I, growing up, I had some other trauma and abuse in my life as well. But this was probably one of the biggest things, especially now that I'm in a better place with it. It's like looking back and seeing how much, like having that told to me all the time, like it's all in your head. This pain is all in your head. And like, I just got too used to it even. Like I would just brush it off and like push through this pain to the point where it was making it worse at times. And yeah, but that really messes with you. It makes you depressed. It makes you think you're crazy. It's pretty intense. So they put me through the testing, and then finally they were like, okay, let's get you in for a surgery to see if you have endometriosis or what's going on. Maybe there's something with your ovaries. So what they did was a laparoscopy. So it was supposed to just be 3 keyhole incisions, like right across my abdomen. When they opened me up, they found massive amounts of endometriosis. So they wound up having to make a 4th incision to pull it out, and they still weren't able to remove everything. And so that's the thing that, unfortunately, because we know so little about this disease still, the gold star treatment for endometriosis is a surgery that removes the tissue.
Okay.
Which there's no cure.
Okay.
There's no, like it might grow back, it might not. It's kind of like they still just don't understand enough yet about how it works, and it's what causes it. Like we know that stress can trigger more growth. We know that estrogen can trigger more growth. Wow. We know that it's but we don't know why. We don't necessarily. It's very. There's no cure. So it's just kind of, you have to remove the tissue. For me, after that first surgery, like they told me as soon as I woke up, we found a lot more. We had to make an extra incision. But we weren't able to get all of the tissue either.
Right.
So I knew I was going to have to have another surgery at some point, but I was hoping it would be a ways off. But then, like after the surgery, most people will start feeling a little better. They'll start having less pain. I didn't. I just kept getting worse after my first surgery in 2021. It was it was April 29th or something, 2021. Anyway, so it was like a month after my birthday, and after I turned 30. So then I just kept getting worse. And then a week before my 31st birthday, I got that arthritis diagnosis. And then they brought me into an office and said, and they brought a counselor in, and I was immediately like, oh crap.
Oh yeah, that's not going to scare the hell out of you.
Right? I was like, and they sat me down and said, so because of everything you have going on at this point, we have to talk to you about the fact that you are never going to be pain-free.
Oh my God.
So, happy birthday, happy 31st birthday to me. That was like, and so then I was like, well, what, and so then they started talking about at some point we could significantly relieve a large portion of your pain if we did a hysterectomy, but we're going to wait till you're older and you've had, a couple kids. And I was like, what if I don't want kids?
Right.
What if at this point I've been in so much pain for so long?
You don't care anymore.
Yeah. And those doctors, they were like, you're too young. Now I was like, I'm 31.
You can make your own decision.
I can, yeah. But then, so they said, okay, we'll refer you to an actual endometriosis specialist. And I was like, well, why wasn't I referred to him right at
that's
first?
my first thought there. That would have probably helped.
Right.
The hell do I know?
Right. But then, so then I got in to see him, and, and he said we'd do another surgery, remove what they had left behind. And then I was like, and two, I've just been in so much pain would you be open to doing a hysterectomy? And we talked about it. He agreed. And so that was, so then July last year, I had a total hysterectomy.
And that's a scary surgery. I mean, that's a big doozy of one.
Terrifying. Yeah. I was very nervous, you know, and for me, I'd always been kind of personally ambivalent on having kids, you know, like it could happen.
Okay,
it doesn't
thank you
have
for explaining. You got to remember, I went to Alton.
Right. I might have said that wrong. Maybe it's ambivalent.
I don't know.
Anyway,
you could have fooled me 4 times. I don't know.
But yeah, you know, it's just kind of. You know, for me, it was like, if I settle down with someone and we both want it, but it wasn't a big deal to me.
Right.
And then, it was like, and then it's funny, like I had my surgery and then suddenly all my friends around me were pregnant. And I was a little worried about that at first because they kept telling me before the surgery, like, oh, you're going to have emotions around kids and stuff. And it's been weird, but honestly, I'm very happy. Especially after seeing everyone go through their pregnancies, like I'm like, okay, I dealt with enough pain in my life. I'm good.
Yeah,
I can be the cool aunt. But anyway, so I am 8 months post surgery last week.
Congratulations. How do you feel overall?
So much better.
Really?
Yeah. So I still deal with pain all the time, and I want to be clear for anyone who might be dealing like everyone's at this point. Everyone's gonna have different treatments that's gonna work best for them.
Correct.
This might not be the best solution for other people. For me, it was, especially because like for me, everyone's different. Everyone's going to have different symptoms of endometriosis. For me, it was very extreme. I know when my first surgery, some of the endo they found was technically what they considered stage 3, which is just when it comes to endo, it's the depth of the scarring and the amount of tissue. I don't fully understand all that, but
hell, the doctors don't.
Right, exactly. And so it's something that's becoming more. I am seeing it more talked about more often nowadays. Like I know I saw recently, Corinne Fox, Jamie Foxx's daughter, she has it. And she was part of a big documentary that they recently showed to Congress and everything. And then I know even Bindi Sue Irwin from, Steve Irwin's daughter, she just had a surgery and she's been doing a lot of awareness work around this and everything. And it's really neat to see it being talked about more.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does it help to have those, I hate saying celebrities, but somebody that has more notoriety, does it help to have them publicly talk about these things?
Yeah, I mean, well, just because now if I tell people about it, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah. Instead of being like, wait, what did you just say? Like, what is this? Like endometriosis, yeah.
Well, and now, you're talking about, you're feeling tons better, but there's still pain.
Yes.
To me, this is where, I hate to tie it in, but this is where I circle back to things because it's like, well, what do you do with pain? What do they used to do? Well, they gave you a Vicodin or Ritalin or whatever pain med they gave you, and they gave it to you, and you took it. But now, we've learned how dangerous these things are, these pills. What do you use to kind of combat this? Is this where the CBD comes into play?
Oh, definitely. Okay. So endometriosis is partially it's an inflammatory disease.
Okay.
So CBD and CBG, they're excellent anti-inflammatory in combating inflammation.
Right.
So that's I use that every day. I use one of the Moondrops tinctures that has CBD and CBG in it.
Okay.
Every day. I use a full dropper, which is actually a very high dose. So that's and I need that daily.
You.
Thank you. And then I do THC is also, it's more pain relieving.
Okay.
As well as being psychoactive. But so I need the THC too. So I usually have like at least a joint a day too. That's usually in the evenings.
Well,
but
if it helps with the inflammation and chronic pain.
And the pain. Yeah. So that's what I use. So I know like through my treatment so far, my surgeries and all, like they wanted to start me on lots of different hormones and other pain medications and stuff. And I personally was just not.
No.
I've got my own other past experiences with medications and stuff, and I didn't want to touch it. And I was like, I've been using cannabis. I'm getting my degree. When I had my first surgery, I had just started my second class in the SLU program. So and that's something. I want to brag on myself a little bit. While recovering from that surgery and dealing with all this, I maintained a 4.0 GPA and still graduated without any delays. So
there you go. Yeah, a little air horn action for you. But in all seriousness,
also, it shouldn't have had to be like that.
No.
Like that's one of the things. Like, yes, I am. A lot of people, they hear my story and they're like, "You're so strong. You've done so much." But like, it shouldn't have taken 20 years for me to get a diagnosis.
Well, and that's why I'm so glad you came on today, Taralei, because there's people that and what Taralei was saying earlier is it's different for everybody. Contact your primary care provider first. That's step one.
OBGYN is, yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's where you really want to go, because your primary is not going to know anything.
There you go. Step one, OBGYN.
Yes.
Step two, well, we'll get there.
Yeah, and if they're not listening to you, get into a pelvic pain clinic.
Okay.
If you don't have an endometriosis center or doctor around you, get into a pelvic pain clinic. They'll, even if it's not endometriosis, because there's a lot of other diseases that like can kind of tie into it or have similar pain that might be, just get into a pelvic pain clinic. They'll get you on the right track.
Absolutely. And is there any other things that you can help our audience with? Is there any groups that you were a part of? Anything like that?
Yeah. Well, actually, I got this T-shirt from a Facebook group called Cannabis and Endometriosis, because it
says the F word on it.
Yeah. It's yeah. F endo.
There you go.
That's like if you look online, there are so many different support groups on Facebook. Oh yeah, I found so many resources through those. If you look for people calling themselves endo warriors, those are the communities you want to be a part of if you're looking for resources and help regarding finding what you need to do next on your journey for either getting diagnosed, or if you've just been diagnosed and you need need help finding new treatment, new advice. That's kind of, it does seem like the endo warriors themselves, we've all educated ourselves more than most doctors even have at this point.
Well, and Taralei, it's really cool that you have the guts to come on here and talk about a disease that you battle. And this isn't easy to talk about for most people.
Right. It's really important to me to talk about it. I'm very open about my person. I've been through so much in my life. I've had a lot of, I'm very, and single 32-year-old woman, like now had a hysterectomy and everything and trying to get it back out there and date, like for a long time because of the symptoms from endometriosis, I actually was for several years, I was at the point where I thought I was asexual. Because everything was so painful that I didn't, I couldn't tell, but it was that I was in so much pain and was just disinterested. So now it's like realizing like, oh, I'm not, and trying to get it, it's just crazy. There's so much to deal with, getting back out there and dating, all this stuff. But so I'm very open about what I'm going through and what I've been through. And I think that's important because no one should be ashamed to talk about this sort of stuff. That's part of what made it difficult to get diagnosed. That's part of what makes it difficult to get diagnosed for so many women, is that we feel like this sort of pain, we're just supposed to deal with it. Cramps are part of the deal, but it's not. There's a point where you really need to get help. You really need to push your doctors. And one thing too, if your doctors aren't listening to you, because it is a big thing. Yeah. There's still so little information. If your doctors aren't listening to you, start documenting it. Tell them you want it documented on your charts that they have refused to refer you somewhere else for treatment or for surgery, and keep track of it yourself too. That's very important. Just document everything, because otherwise you're not gonna get to where you need to be to get help. Yeah. Right.
And Taralei Griffin, thank you so much for really having the guts to come on here and talk about this.
Thanks.
Because we're lighthearted about it, we joke about it, but try to at least. But all reality is it sucks.
Yep.
And the more we can talk about these things, raise some awareness, and know that you aren't alone if you're going through this. There's people out in your community that really have gone through this too. There's a shoulder there.
Yeah.
There's a shoulder there. And before we close out this show today, I got to tell you guys about Alton VFW Post 1308. And, we've had on the show, Taralei, quite some time, and we're starting a brand new segment. It's called Salute to Service, where we highlight all these things that we didn't know about the Post. Like this. Did you know the Post is open for the public? It's not, you don't have to be a veteran to go. Did you know that?
That's cool.
Thank you. This is what we talk about on the last Thursday of the month, because so many times, you drive by VFW and, you go, well, am I allowed in there? The answer is yes. Everyone is invited, as the VFW is open for the public, open 6 days a week, and it's the place to be on Friday nights. And each week, they got a band from 7 to 11. The kitchen is open with great specials just to get you out of the house so you don't have to turn that oven on. And it's a great place, Taralei, to catch up with old friends, make new ones, and talk with veterans who served our nation with honor. So listen up. The canteen, full of stuff. You like darts?
Yeah.
They got darts. You like touch tunes?
Yeah.
They got touch tunes.
All right.
You like cold drinks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Check in. The most important part of this, Taralei, is my favorite part. The Prairie State Gaming Room with brand new slot machines for all of you to hit the jackpot on. So don't forget, the hall is available for rent to both members and non-members. I've gone to plenty of events there, plenty of fundraisers, and it's a beautiful facility. You been inside there?
I haven't yet.
You got to check it out.
Okay.
Seriously, really nice. They have bingo on Wednesdays. There's so much there for you to do. They have plenty of parking. They're going to work with you to help make that event a success. Because, you buy a venue or you rent it out, they never call you. They go, show up here at 9 o'clock, put the table out there. Don't bother us. You already paid. VFW ain't like that. They'll be with you every step of the way. So there's so many things you can rediscover about Alton Post, VFW Post 1308, and the enormous difference they make in our community. For more information, 618-466-6883, or just visit VFWPost1308.org for more information. VFWPost1308.org. Taralei Griffin, what are your plans for this weekend?
Tomorrow night, I'm going to the conservatory for the Coolverse Couture Night, which I really think you all should come out to. It's a $5 cover charge, and there will be free food by Ben Acker. There's going to be, and then there's there will be different live musicians, DJ CBS, and there will be a new guest artist on the wall there in the conservatory. So it's last Friday of every month at the conservatory. They do this big art event. It's a fun time. You should come on out. I'll be down there photographing everything and dancing the night away once the DJ starts. So come join me. Let's go.
I will not be dancing this weekend because I don't want the cops called on me. But what I will tell you is that it's been a pretty great week with a great show on this Thursday, the 30th day of March. It's opening day. The Cardinals are going to be getting ready to take the field, batting practice, all of that and more. And then this weekend, Cardinals baseball for me. But good times for all of us this weekend. When I see you out and about tomorrow, we have a really good show full of guests, so I hope you join me then. But Taralei Griffin, we are out of time, and it's time for me to get out of Dodge. We'll wrap up the week tomorrow live at 9 for more of our daily show. So on that note, make sure you share this page. We'll keep growing, and we'll have some fun together.